This is an analysis of the potential parking surrounding the proposed pub at 27 Douglas Road, Kirrajong Heights. The red circle shows a 400-metre radius around the pub, and that is the area that we have used for analysis. All traffic has to enter an underground car park from Douglas Road. This is the turning from the west on Bell's Line, and as you can see there's very short sight lines, and traffic has to go into the bus stop lane to be able to go around the side of you. So this is going down Douglas Road. The car park for the IGA is on the right, the church car park is on the left, and the traffic for the pub is going to go down Douglas Road, and it's going to turn right into the underground car park just here. This is a developer's rendering of the hotel. It has provision for 75 car parking spaces. The spaces are underneath the cabin accommodation, which you can see on the left hand side, and it extends right to the back of the block. The DCP, the Hawkesbury DCP, stipulates a minimum parking requirement for 105 vehicles. The pub does not meet that. But as we don't have any public transport in Kirrajong Heights, the reality is that more will be required. In the first year, a 255 patron limit will be in force, and we think this will need up to 148 cars parking either in the pub or on the heights. And at full capacity, there's the potential for the pub to cater for over 600 patrons, and the number of cars required, including staff cars, will be over 300. So people will drive into the car park, they'll find it full, and if they're not blocked by trucks in the loading bay, they'll be able to exit through the one-way system onto Walks Hill Road, and they will there try to find a parking space. So cars are going to exit just after the 50 sign here on the left, going to exit out of the laneway from the pub, and they're generally going to turn left and go and look for parking on Walks Hill Road. There's a small amount of pavement that finishes on the left underneath that awning, and from there the whole way up Walks Hill Road there is no footpath at all. There's also no street lights. So the reality is that we're going to have people at night, and they can be there up until midnight or 12:30. We're going to have people at night walking down the middle of the road in a potentially very dangerous situation. As we drive up Walks Hill Road, you can see that there's quite a lot of parking, and we've on both sides of the road up to the 400-metre radius, we've calculated that there's provision for 37 cars for residents and a further 29 for pub patrons, and that's using both sides of the road. The 400-metre limit is reached just before we get to Mac Street up here on the left hand side. So this is Mac Street here. We're now on Bell's Line of Road turning into Douglas Road East. This is quite a narrow road, it's about 4.5 metres wide, and as you can see on the left there's some very, very soft verges. There's certainly no potential for parking on either side of the street, and if parking were to be allowed for pub patrons, we would suggest that maybe one side of the street be used for parking and the other one be no parking. Otherwise there's virtually no potential for have two-way traffic on the street. And as you can see, it's really, really narrow. Down the bottom of this hill is the limit of 400 metres. Our estimates are 10 parking spots for residents, 8 for pub patrons, and that will be the limit of it. We're now in Douglas Road West beside the IGA, looking towards Bell's Line of Road, and the IGA car park's on the left, the church car park is on the right, and this is the only way that the churchgoers and the residents of Douglas Road can exit from their properties. And as you can see with the camphor laurel tree on the right, the road is not wide enough for 2 full lanes to be facilitated. So this intersection will always be compromised and always be dangerous. It's made even worse by the fact that there's a very short sight line to the right. There's flowers in the gutter and the ditch, and when you look to the right, when we turn right, there's quite a lot of traffic. When we turn right, you'll see that the sight lines are very short indeed. So we're going to have pub patrons coming out of here, and they're going to go and park on the left and maybe try to park on the right. But as you can see, they're going to be stepping out onto the road, and there's no footpath again. So if we permit traffic to park on Bell's Line of Road, then we're going to have people walking on Bell's Line of Road at night with no street lights, and heavens forbid what is going to happen. As we drive back up Bell's Line of Road towards Kirrajong Heights, it's a good idea to have a look on the left and see how little warning you have of traffic trying to come out of Douglas Road West. It's literally just round the corner here, and as you can see, you get very little warning indeed of traffic appearing out of there. The parking on either side of the road is used by the existing businesses and should not be attributable to the pub. And as we carry on along Bell's Line of Road, you can see that there's no parking on either side. We then have the opportunity to turn right. Tomar Street is on the left and Tomar Street is also on the right. If we turn right, there is some potential for parking here, but the problem is that there is no ready method for pedestrians to walk back towards the pub. So this really needs to be dedicated to residential parking. So in summary, we can find safe parking for 37 cars, and that is a fraction of the amount of parking that is going to be required by this enormous development. The guiding principle has got to be that any development on the site is capable of handling the vast majority of its own parking needs, and not imposing that on the residents of Kirrajong Heights, and particularly in such a way that both the residents and the patrons will be exposed to significant danger. Thank you.